Hi, everybody. This is the Toffee podcast. I'm Mark. I hope everybody's doing well this Wednesday. I'm still battling this cough that's been ongoing the last couple of weeks or so. So I'll try and get through this podcast today in the best way I possibly can. So, anyway, where can I start? It's just continues on at the moment. I'm just frustrated, angered by the way that we have been treated, it feels, by the Premier League, and the way, we can't get any kind of clarity, understanding of what is going on, regarding the points deduction, but also the takeover as well. We don't know, is it getting approval or not? The last we heard, it looks like it's been delayed again, and I don't know why, what the reason is. Obviously, all the issues that 777 partners are, with other businesses that they have and clubs and everything else, and the issues that they have financially and litigations and all the things that's ongoing with them. And it just seems to be every day that there is another problem with them. So obviously, is that the reason why this approval's not been um, ratified yet by the Premier League? I don't know. But what's not really helpful at the moment is if this is the case and there is an issue regarding funding for the football club, I think one of the big things that is needs to be put out there at the moment to reassure fans in one way or another is that the current owner Mashiri needs to be coming out, needs to be clarifying, communicating with its fan base, uh, custodians, and the shareholders and everybody to clarify what is actually going on regarding this takeover, because it's dragging on and on and on. I do believe that Josh Wander, who is the main guy for 777 Partners, was at the game on Monday. So obviously he still thinks that this will get approval, but it's just dragging on and on and on. And, there's got to be an end to this. There's got to be a time, there's got to be a date. I just don't know. But that's not helping the anxiety that me as a fan and everybody else as a fan regarding the future of the football club and where it's going to go, because um, you know, that's what's concerning me the most and where it could end up. And I don't want it to end up the way it could go. It would be helpful if there was some clarity or communication coming from Mashiri, because he's the current owner. He's the one who's allowed some partners to want to take it over the football club and take his shares. He needs to be communicating. So that's a question out there to the FAB to put to the board, the interim board that's currently there, and the people that they can, their meetings that they can have. Maybe FAB can actually ask the question, because something has to give here, because it's dragging on and on and on. Um, and as I've discussed in the past, the doomsday scenario is that if they don't take over and we don't get approval from them, and there isn't anybody else coming in to take over the football club, then there's an inevitability that we could go into administration, which means another 9 points. Yes, in another way that that happens, and we could then get taken over by the other interested parties that I believe there are people out there that are interested in taking the club on, but at the moment they're not showing their faces, and they're not making any kind of noise regarding that. All we know is that they are they're American based, and they want to you know take over the football club, but they can't give their name, they can't give any kind of information at this moment. But that on that case, and it's just frustrating, because it's looking for the light at the end of that tunnel. What I want to be talking about, as I always do, talk about the football, which I'll get into in a moment, the Palace game on Monday night. But you can see, not just in the fans in the stadium. I wasn't there, not just because of this. I have a condition, as I've mentioned in the past. I would have been there on Monday night, but I wasn't there, and you could just feel it. It's not just about this takeover and getting the approvals of that and where we're going with that. It's basically, the 10-point deduction as well, and the appeal, which is now going into its third week. We're waiting for clarity. We're waiting for the announcement of when are we getting all our points back. What what's going to happen next? When are we going to find out? And it just seems to be dragging on and on. And for me, if you were in that stadium, to try and get behind a team and try to support a team is all we can do. But if the team on the field are not performing and not playing well and not playing to the best of their abilities to try and get a result against a team that are not doing great at the moment as well, and they just changed their manager, and obviously they'll have a bit of a motivation because they want to play to the new manager to prove that they can stay in the team. But there was an opportunity there to take 3 points, and it's not an arrogance just because they're not playing well. You know, we're doing okay. We're getting points here or there, and that's fine. But we need to get wins, because what happens is if we do get them 10 points back, and then we had one on Monday night, that's 13 points back, and we would be mid-table, and we would be in a stronger position. The players will probably feel a whole lot better knowing that they don't have this like vice around their neck. Because from my perspective, watching that game, we were disappointing. We were slow to get going. The setup was very defensive. We stuck with Ashley Young in the midfield. Obviously, Decore came back in, but the performance there, defensively, it's just been great. Defensively, we've been all right. There's no issue with the defensive side of this. But when it comes to that midfield, it was just like there was no creativity in there. There was no drive. And if you have a 38-year-old, no disrespect to him, and you've got Decore back in the team who's just come back after injury, you got Ashley Young on the wing. We needed pace. Crystal Palace had pace in their team as much as they've got some of their best players are out in that game, but they've got pace in that mid on their wings. They've got pace going forward, and he allowed us to play, to have the ball a lot more. And I noticed in that game we're passing the ball around a lot more than I don't normally see. But doing then we're still launching it up to Dominic Calvert-Lewin. but but actually, no disrespect to him, whatever his age, we needed pace. And the amount of times in that first half and even the second half before he got substituted, the amount of times he was fouling, their player, constantly fouling. And Sean Dyche is not seen this at half time. And you can see it. The whole fan base, fans in the stadium saw it. Me on TV saw it. We needed changes. Godfrey was doing his job okay. He's got pace, which is fine. But actually, you needed changing. We needed to change it there. Harrison should have come on. Decore, it's great to see him back, but he was not back to his usual fitness, full Decore that we know of. But it's great to see him back. But he seems to be better when it comes to playing away in away games than at home. That just seems to be my view, and it just seems to be the way it is tactically when we're playing away. That Decore feels a little bit more further forward, but he couldn't get into game. He just was enormous with that. I also felt that James Garner was very, very poor. And he basically was getting the ball, he was just giving the ball away. If he had the ball, he was going backwards, and he was just not generating anything. Trezeguet was just doing what Trezeguet does, and what really frustrated me, I just wish he'd never shoot from outside the box, because he just seems to do it, and every time he does it, you know where he's going to go. And it went straight out, well, right into Rose Ed in the Gladys Street. But the feeling I had was Onana was free, he was available, he played the second half against City. He should have started with Garner still starting, because those two combinations seemed to work better. And he should have gone with that, but he didn't. He stuck with the team that started against Man City. It felt defensive. It felt very backwards. And for a team that we need 3 points, and need to be more positive going forward to get forward as best we possibly can. We needed an Onana. Onana is our best midfielder, and he was, as soon as he came on in that second half, we were one down, but he came on. You saw the difference. And Jack Harrison, whatever people think about Jack Harrison, he's got pace. He's got better than what Ashley Young's got. Came on, you saw a difference straight away. You saw a difference with Anana, and then we got the equaliser, and it would have been a different story if Sean Dyche changed it at half time instead of waiting for another 60, 65 minutes. If he had done it at half time, brung them on, that would have helped, and we would have gone right at it a little bit better. Because the other thing I noticed was that there was no help for Dominic Calvert-Lewin. He played really, really well. He worked his socks off, but he was not. All he was doing was getting knockdowns. And when he got the knockdowns, he had to go and chase the ball that he's just knocked down because the midfield weren't there to collect the ball and get forward. They were too defensive, too back. And that's what was going on throughout the game. But for Dominic Calvert-Lewin, his performance-wise, he was working the channels, working his socks off, but there was no support for him from the midfield. And Arna came on, you sort of started to see the difference. Beto came on with Dominic Calvert-Lewin to give Dominic Calvert-Lewin the support, so that was great. You know, as much as what we think about Beto is, but there was like a little bit more support. But it should have been done earlier. It should have been done earlier on. It actually should have been Anana starting and Harrison starting itself. It would have been a different story, maybe. Dwight McNeil, all he was doing for the game was getting fouls so he can get crosses into the box and doing what he's always good at, and that's his crossing. But the rest of his game was not there. And is it because he's injured or whatever else? But regarding that game, and I know James Garner came out afterwards and said because, of course, the fans booed the performance by the players. And he said, you know, the points deduction is getting to him. And also, obviously, it's getting to the players because of it. And this is another feeling that's what's going on in the stadium at the moment with fans, me included. We go to the game, we want to get behind the team, but it's a two-way street. And if the players have got that worry on their mind about the 10-point deduction and also where they currently are, I'm thinking that we should be further up the table. And they have that psychological mentality that they're thinking, you know, we're here, are we going to get our points back? And they're starting to think like this, like we are. Then the atmosphere in that stadium, like it was, and the players can't get going, they can't perform, and they can't push themselves because psychologically they can't get themselves in a positive frame of mind because they've got that in the back of their mind, like we have. Then you see what happened on Monday night. And it's not an excuse for the performance. They should have dug in. The manager should be talking to them and saying, get that out of your mind. And they should be thinking to try and be as positive as possible. Forget about what's going on with this 10-point deduction. Go out there and get a performance. They didn't. And if they're thinking like that, that is on the manager. The manager and his team, psychologists and people that they have at the club, they should be talking to the players, supporting them and getting them to actually focus on the game in hand and forget about the outside noise. As a fan, it's quite difficult to actually do that because it's on our mind every day. We're not football players. They get paid hundreds, thousands of pounds a week to play the game. That should be out of their mind. But if that's on their mind, that needs to be sorted out. And I'm against the fact that James Garner can say that shouldn't boo, we should be getting behind. We have been getting behind you all season. Those performances have been quite consistent, not just because of the points deduction, but they've been like that continually. So pull your finger out, do something about it. We are entitled to boo. We pay our money week in, week out to go to the games and put all our energies and effort into actually go to the game week in, week out. We will boo if we see a poor performance. And if you're not putting that commitment and that drive in, we've seen that this season with the same players. They've gone out there and put the shift in and worked extremely hard. We've seen it. And we've applauded that and got behind that. That's always the case. But if you're not putting that shift in and not performing, doesn't matter if you've got points deductions or problems going on there, you should be still putting the commitment in and putting that fight in for this club. We do it, and we're entitled to actually boo and hiss and, do what we want to do because that's how we feel at this moment. Because as fans, what we pay for, because we are custodians of this football club, the thing is this, is that we pay our hard-earned money to go to the game, home and away, and basically we deserve to see, our team performing and putting in an effort. Yes, if we lose, fine, we can accept it. But if we see a performance and we see the effort and guile and determination to try and get a result, we're fine with that. But but the way things are at the moment, with the points deduction, and we're still waiting for the bloody appeal to come through. And when they damn going to announce it, it's been nearly 3 weeks since the appeal ended, where they actually took place. What is taking so long? Simple, innit? Yes, they may be lawyers, maybe they've got other jobs that they have to do, but there should be some sort of announcement at some point. We need to move forward. And as I've just mentioned about the takeover, we need clarity on that. So everything is up in the air. I am absolutely pissed off with this at this moment in time. That there's no communication that comes from the club at all. When I mentioned about Bashiri, why isn't he not trying to reassure us about the takeover, about everything else? Why isn't it the club are not communicating about saying, everything's in hand, we'll talk about, the appeal when it ends, what we're going to do next, whatever. Just some sort of communication. We don't need to know the ins and outs of the appeal or what happens with it. We just need to be reassured that something that they're listening to us and that they care about its fan base. Because at the moment, I'm just sitting here, I'm on the internet, on social media, scrolling away, hoping to see a new story to say Everton get their 10-point deduction back. This is the reason why. Da 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 da. And we can go, oh, and you can see that it will lift. But that's the Premier League. They're just dragging it out, dragging it out, dragging it out until when are they going to announce it? Do they know what if they have that information? We don't know. But this one's the positive story I can try and get from this is that the media, the usual journalists, these legacy journalists who seem to get information from the Premier League, have not leaked anything. They have done in the past when we got our 10-point deduction, when we were told about our charges. They seem to get the story before everybody else did that this is what's going to happen. So they've not been given anything. So can I take a positive from that? I don't know. But it would be nice to know what is going on. And it's, every Evertonian is in the same, we're all in the same boat, asking the same questions, trying to understand, what's the hold up here? Why is this happening? Why is it taking so long for something that is so important to its fan base and to the mental health of its fan base? Because it's in our thoughts all the time, it's in my mind every day, trying to think, can we move forward? Is there a light at the end of the tunnel? Can we start thinking about the football? And now, if we're watching a football match against Palace on Monday night, and the players, or one of the players, has said that the point deduction is getting on him, and it's starting to get the pressure is on him now, and also it must be from the other players. Then, they need, if that's the case, they need clarity as well. And sadly, the manager doesn't know. He's not been given any information. Kevin Thelwell's not been given any information. Nothing. There's nothing out there yet. And I would rather know right now, this minute, what's going to happen. If we the 10-point deduction is going to stay, we've got the second charge. Then if that's the case, then we'll say, right, okay, obviously we're going to get a 10-point. That's going to stay as it is. It looks like we're going to get a second charge. We might get another 10 points. So if it's going to be like that, that means that Everton Football Club will get relegated, and it's just going to be the way it's going to go, because we're not going to be able to fight it back. And as much as we can appeal the second charge and whatever, we may not get the points back on that. And then the wonderful thing is that we have to wait until the end of the season. So if we have stayed up, on what we currently have and what been deducted have, we have to wait until the season's over to find out if we are still in the Premier League or are we in the Championship. That's, again, which is absolutely disgraceful, and it just shows you how badly run the Premier League is, and it just shows you how we've all said about them, about the Premier League when we protested, and everything else about them is they do not know what they're doing, and they are corrupt to the highest core, and they just care about the six clubs that are there. You know, the six clubs, they're Sky Six. They don't care more about them. They care about the money, the viewers, the people, money coming in because of those six clubs, and they don't care about the 14 others. They referred to Everton and now Nottingham Forest, who've been charged. Richard Masters refers to us as small clubs, but with the histories the size that we have and the trophies that we were, that's where his attitude is at, and he needs to be out of that role. He needs to be gone. The chair lady needs to be gone. This season needs to be a new change. It needs to be an independent regulator. It needs to be brought in as quickly as possible. And I can go on and on and on about the media and everything else about the media. I've done it in the past. Andy Burnham tweeted the other day regarding, again, no communication. You know, why the Premier League is just not, giving any kind of clarity about this, and why it seems to be at the moment Sky Sports don't want to talk about anything about Everton Football Club regarding our protests, regarding the issues that we have. They seem to want to bury it and dig it down because they are in partners with the Premier League. And they just, and now we've had, the big story about, Jamie Carragher. Andy Burnham put it out there that, he would like to sit down with Jamie Carragher and talk about the protest, talk about, the deduction and why we think that it's a harsh punishment which doesn't fit the crime. So, would be nice to, he wanted to sit down. It's not been agreed yet. It's not been anything like that. So they don't want to have it, and he's gone into hiding. Carrick just basically not that long ago was getting right behind. Everton have felt it was harsh points deduction and shouldn't be the case and everything else. Now he's just gone and hidden, and he doesn't, that opportunity for Andy Burnham to actually speak to him, and if it's on Sky Sports to actually put it out, this is what Evertonians feel about, and this is what's happened, and this is what we feel. The fact that he doesn't want to actually do that interview now, doesn't want to even sit down with Andy Burnham, it seems to be, and has just gone very, very quiet on that. It's just absolutely just shows you where we are as regards, the Premier League, regarding the way the media is and the way they are treating Everton Football Club at this moment in time. And they just don't want anything to do with us. If it was Manchester City with their 115 breaches, and, as soon as they start finding about the investigation for that, and when they're going to do the independent commission starts working on that, Sky Sports going to be talking about it every day, about the commission and everything else about Man City's breaches. Will they put a big story on that? Probably, because Man City are part of the six, and they're more important than Everton Football Club. Anyway, I can go on and on and on. But just to mention, this is where we're at. I just hope that we find out soon, because the future of this club depends on that result and depends on the takeover. And if it's going to happen, if it isn't, is there anybody else going to want to come in and take over the football club? We can all talk about the positives of the stadium, the new stadium, and how fantastic that's going to be when we move into it. But our football club, if we don't get the takeover sorted and we don't get the points deduction, our club could be in the Championship, and that means, administration could be next, staff getting made redundant, stadium not getting fully completed. I don't know. Creditors will want their money back and everything else. So there's a lot of things that could could happen, but we need some clarity now. And it would be nice if the club can just come out and reassure and try and, reassure its fan base that they're doing everything they possibly can, to get this club in the right place and go in the right direction. So yeah, anyway, that's my views. Let me know in the comments below what you think about everything. What do you think will be the best solution? What would be the great thing we need to get forward and go forward? What would you think be the best solution for Everton Football Club? You know what mine is. Better people to come in as a takeover, not 7-7 partners. That's my view. The point deduction, we get them all back. That would be fantastic. The second charge didn't get thrown out because of it, and then we can move forward. And then go into the summer, hopefully we'll be able to, bring players in and start rebuilding our squad and getting better and improving in our last season at Goodison Park. That would be fantastic. But just let me know in the comments below what you think. What's going on in your mind at the moment. Vent if you want to. How you're really feeling at the moment with everything being so delayed and everything else like that. On that note, thank you very much again for listening, for watching. I do appreciate it. This will be uploaded later on. So I always appreciate the support. I'll be back hopefully. My next podcast will hopefully be next Monday at the earliest. So I will keep you noted on that. So yes, on that note, have a great week. I'll speak to you next Monday. I'll do the review of our next game. So we'll go from there. Hopefully, we might hear something before that. Anyway, everybody take care. I'll speak to you later. Bye bye.